So I kind of had a very different experience with my mentee than possibly some of you guys. I had a very hard time trying to get a hold of them. I had a brother and Leanna had the sister, and so we were trying to coordinate it so we were doing it together, and we had such a hard time. We never got a hold of the uncle, and we could never get a hold of the kids, and so finally when we did get a hold of them, we made a meeting time, and we drove 40 minutes there, and they never showed up. So that was kind of a little disappointing because I was excited to meet them. So then we called them and we made a meeting for the next week, and finally we got to meet them at the restaurant, and I was actually really excited to meet him, and I'm always up to meeting new people, and then they walked in and we had 2 seats saved for them at our table, and Leanna's mentee walked in and she sat right by us, and then my mentee walked in and he sat at a completely different table than us, didn't want to sit with us, and I offered him to come sit with us and he kind of just didn't want to. So we continued with our conversation, tried to get to know Leanna's mentee, tried to engage him when possible. And about 15 minutes after we were talking, he finally, I think, felt comfortable enough and he moved over to our table. So I was like, oh good, like maybe he's getting used to me. So I tried to engage him in conversation. I asked him about school. I know he was into sports, so I asked him about that. And he really was just giving me like one-word answers, not giving me very much. So just, I guess tried to build rapport with him. And about 15 more minutes later, he started to actually answer my questions and ask me questions and have a full conversation. So I was like, oh good, maybe he's getting comfortable with me and he feels good around me now. So we had a good rest of the conversation for that day, and then we said goodbye to them. And then we decided the next time we were going to meet them would be at their school. And I actually really enjoyed doing this because it was a good environment to be able to ask him about classes. He told me about how he's not doing well in math, so I asked him if he had that under control, and he said that that he had the teacher's help and he had it all under control. And he we kind of just picked up from the last meeting, and he was really friendly and rubbed in my face a lot about how much he likes Florida, which I'm sure a lot of you guys saw on the UGA tour, that he absolutely loves Florida, so he enjoys giving me a hard time about that. But that was a really good meeting too, and then the next week we went to the school again because I really enjoyed doing that. It was easy to talk about colleges or bring up other things that were not random or anything like that. So, and I think they kind of enjoyed having us there too, and people were asking who we were, and they kind of were like, oh, these are our mentees from UGA, so it was kind of nice. And then when he came to the UGA tour, I secretly think that he actually liked it, even though he was giving me a really hard time and kept saying how much he hates Georgia and how much he doesn't want to be there and how much Florida rocks and Georgia sucks. So I secretly think he liked being on campus, and he said he's never been to the Georgia campus before, so I mean, I told him it was a lot like the Florida campus, and I kind of just explained how classes went and how different colleges than high school. But overall, I mean, I think he had a good time, even though he might not say it, but I don't know. Overall, I think it was a really good experience to have him as a mentee because he was kind of difficult, and that was kind of a challenge for me, but it's good to have a challenge because in the social work field, you're always going to be challenged. And I guess I've gotten lucky and not had to work with kids that are difficult, but he was a good difficult because he did warm up to me, and I'm glad that he felt like he could warm up to me and he could talk to me. But it did take a while, and that's good to realize because not every child that you work with is going to be easy and open up to you right away. So it's good that to see that over the next couple of weeks after I met him, he was opening up to me and he was comfortable with me. So overall, I really enjoyed having him as a mentee, even though he did give me a hard time. I mean, we're all going to have those sometimes. So yeah, that was my experience with my mentee, and I really did have a good time, and I loved the program, and I think it is good for the children to be able to have us and give them the resources, and I think that the resources were a great help for them. So, yep. See you guys soon.